All right, welcome everybody. It is cold and wet and rainy here in South Haven, Michigan, but it's a perfect night to be in front of your computer if you can't make it down here. And we're going to talk about what to do when you're a first-time homebuyer. It seems daunting. It seems like a lot to go on. And I have two great guests. I'll introduce them right now. I got Marcy and I got Mary Strand here, who's going to help guide through and show you how easy the process is when you got the right people working with you to get you part of the American dream. So I'll introduce Laura and Mary, let them tell you a little about themselves, and then we will go ahead and start this presentation. So I'll hand this mic over to you.
Hi, my name is Mary Strand. I'm the Regional Director for the American Title. I'm actually going to be talking about what the title insurance is and the process how with the purchase agreement.
I have one here. Hi everybody, I'm Laura Marcy, also known as Mortgage Laura, and I've been doing mortgages for almost 25 years. I'm a loan officer. I help you from start to finish. I handle everything from our first initial talks about what you think you can afford, how much you're looking to spend. I gather your information and I hold your hand through the process all the way to the closing table. I work for a wholesale broker, that's key, we'll talk more about that. But I work for a wholesale broker called Homeland USA here in Michigan, and I can choose many different lenders and find the best to put your loan with.
Love it. And myself, Servatius, broker, realtor, 23 years here in South Haven, Michigan at Century 20 Real Estate. And we're located at 253 7th Street, right next to New Holland Brewery, T corner to the Michigan Theater. And a lot of people are always asking, what do I do to buy a first home? I don't know what to do, the process, and they get nervous and scared. It's a very simple process. Like I said, we get the right people. So that's why I have Mary and Laura here to talk to everybody. So I'm going to let you start off with, first off, you want to get finance. You want to know exactly you could buy, so let Laura talk to you about that.
All right, thanks Brian. Okay, let's see here. Check your credit. Credit score is probably one of the most important things when it comes to your qualification ability for a mortgage. And that can be good or bad for you, but I'm going to touch on when it comes to first-time home buyer, don't be frightened if your credit is less than perfect. As this says, 620 conventional loan. So my preferred lender, United Wholesale Mortgage, UWM, they're the #1 lender in the country. They are wholesale. They're headquartered on the east side of the state, Pontiac, Michigan, and they are the only wholesale lender in the country that offers 1% down conventional. The other kind of loans are FHA, which is a government insured loan, and FHA is a great option too, but it is going to require 3.5% down payment. And the appraisals are sometimes scrutinized a little bit more. So if you can write an offer on a home and the seller knows that you're going conventional, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, it's going to make your offer look stronger. And with this ability to do 1% down, I'm kind of winging it here, I wanted to stay on track, but the 1% down is a big part of it. Even if you have just a 620 score, if you are under the area median income, 80% of it for the area, and in Metro Detroit, that's going to be upwards of 80, 90,000 a year. In West Michigan, it's going to be a little bit under 70,000 a year. Ask me, give me an address, and I will let you know. I'll type it into the lookup tool. But if you are under the income limit, you're going to be eligible for 1% down. And the first-time home buyer perks mean that if your score is only 620, so again, 620 is what we need for conventional, 580 for FHA. But if your score is only 620, guess what? You're going to get just as good of a rate as a person with a 720 score or even 800. I'm not kidding. That is the first-time home buyer benefits that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have put into place on this program. And again, UWM is the only wholesale lender. We never want to go retail. Retail, you will always pay more. You'll have a higher rate and you will have higher closing costs. So the point is, don't be scared, but it's the first part to meet with me to talk and find out your credit score. If it's less than perfect, I've looked at a lot of credit reports over the years. I've pretty much seen it all, so there's no judgment. I am just here to help. And if your score isn't where it needs to be yet, I can usually give you some good pointers and let you know how quickly that might make a difference to get the score up. Is it something that you could fix in a month, or is it something that might take a year? But we'll have that discussion. How much should you spend? How much can you afford? The general rule of thumb is to not have your mortgage payment be more than about 1/3 of your salary or 1/3 of your take-home pay. Or you don't look for a home more than 3 times your salary. So different ways to look at it, but I always say, while it's my job to let you know what you'll be approved for, what will fit the debt to income ratio, perhaps only one member, one spouse, or one partner is going on the loan. And so maybe I'm qualifying you on just that income. But perhaps your spouse or partner has an income that we're not using. So you might say, well, Laura, I know I can afford more because I have a little bit more household income coming in. But we do qualify you on your gross income. So there's some number crunching on my part, but I will make it very clear to you what the max payment you can afford is, and then consequently what the max sales price you can afford is. So we probably want to start at the monthly payment. Cash saved. That I'm going to disregard that one comment there. I think that was a little typo. We don't have to have 30% of the sales price saved. Don't worry about that. But we do need, again, money for down payment, whether that's going to be 3.5% for an FHA loan, or if it's going to be 1% on the conventional loan. But on top of down payment, you always need money for closing costs and prepaids at the closing. Okay, so closing costs, you're going to have the bank's underwriting fee, you're going to have title fees, Mary's going to touch on that a little bit, and you're going to have an appraisal. The appraisal is the only thing that's paid separate. Appraisals are about $500, those are paid via credit card. Everything else that Mary and I are discussing and Ryan is one lump sum that you come to the closing with, okay? So, general rule of thumb for closing costs, because I don't charge origination fee, I don't charge points. If you hear any lender advertising, oh, that rate comes with 2 points. 1 point is 1% of your loan amount. That is a lot of closing costs. That's a lot of money. And if you do the math, it usually doesn't get you that much lower of an interest rate. So usually doesn't make sense. It's a marketing gimmick. So with me, you're not going to pay any of that. You're going to pay just the third-party fees, the title fees, the bank's underwriting fee, the appraisal. Let's just say ballpark, that's around $3,000. Next, you need 1 year homeowner's insurance premium when you buy a home. So you're likely going to have your insurance and taxes included in your mortgage payment for the bills going forward. But at the closing table, you always need 1 year's premium paid up front at the closing. What's that going to be? Is it going to be $1,000? Is it going to be $1,700? I don't know. You're going to shop around for it. It depends on the coverage, the deductible, the city, the municipality you're in, right? So that's why there's a lot of moving parts. So I'm going to do my best to estimate for you what you're going to need at closing, but recognize I don't know exactly what your insurance is going to be yet. Property taxes. Depending on what county you're in Michigan, is going to depend on if the taxes are prorated in advance or in arrears. To be safe, you might want to tell yourself you're going to need about 1 year of property taxes at closing. But in a lot of parts of Michigan, it could be less because the sellers may give you some credits. But when looking at the property taxes online, you know, if they're on Zillow, or Ryan can look them up for you, I can look them up for you on public records. If the taxes on a home are currently about $3,000 a year, just tell yourself you're going to need, excuse me, about $3,000 at the closing for taxes. Again, it might be a little less. So what did I just add up? I added up a few thousand in closing costs, $1,000, $1,500 maybe for insurance, and maybe a few thousand for taxes, maybe more. Now, property taxes. This is something that can confuse people a lot. And we'll go more into detail when you find a specific home and we can look up, you know, the town and the village rates and stuff. But just know that what the taxes are currently on a home is not necessarily what they're going to be for you next year when the cap comes off the current taxable value. If you're buying a home from somebody who has owned it for 20 years, their taxable value is based largely on what they paid for it. And that price, that's going to reset. It resets every March and the new taxables come out. So I can gladly go to the Michigan Property Tax Estimator website and give you a good idea of what to expect if you're looking for a home, you know, in South Haven or Royal Oak or where, you know, wherever it is. So again, we'll talk about that once you find a home and we know the specifics, or you know what town you're looking in, so that you're not sticker shocked next year when the taxes go up. But for purposes of what you need at closing, it's going to be roughly 1 year of what the taxes are right now. So a few thousand for closing costs, 1 year homeowners, and 1 year property taxes is what you need in addition to the down payment. I'll just mention, I won't get too in depth because I could talk for a long time here. But seller concessions, that's something that your realtor can sometimes ask for in an offer. That's for you and Ryan to discuss if that makes sense. But it is a method where you can sometimes get a seller credit to cover a good portion of those closing costs. So between the minimal down payment and then what you need for the other monies I just discussed, that's an idea of what you need to get into a home. How much you decide to have for cash reserves, that's a personal thing. Everybody handles their finances differently. That's probably also going to depend on the home. Does the home need a lot of work? Is it just aesthetics? Are there some big fixes you're going to need? That's going to be up to you to decide how much you need to set apart so that you can then tell your realtor and myself, okay, this is what I have to work with. All right, I think I did enough on that slide. Let's see, what was am I on the next one? All right, we're on to the agent.
All right, so now we're on to the agent. Once you get to know what you're comfortable with on your payment, you've got everything ready on that part, the next step is going to be, you got to interview some agents, because this is a very important task. I'd love to say you want to work with me, but sometimes I don't mix with everybody, or another agent does it. You got to find somebody you trust and you like, and when you work with them, they're going to help you probably make the biggest financial decision in your life. And that's finding your home. That's where you're going to live. You're going to raise your family. Or you're going to empty nest and you're going to be there. Or it could be a second home, whatever. But your first home is going to be the most important one. That's the one you want to go smooth for you. So during that, interview your agents. Find out what their criteria is. Do they work with first-time home buyers? Are they actually local to that area? Do they know that community? There's a lot of factors going on in the community. Especially if you buy into a development, is there anything going on in that HOA? You want to make sure that there's nothing like special assessments coming up. You want to make sure your HOA, your condo is fully funded, that they're financially solvent. You don't want to buy into something that's going to have an issue in a few years. You want to make sure there's no litigation going on. So you want to work on that and define your criteria. If you're looking for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or whatever, you need to find that criteria out and give that very specific details to your agent. And you guys should communicate on a regular basis, because that's going to be an important thing, is knowing when the homes are coming to market. Because one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to look at a home and think you're going to come up in 2 or 3 weeks or even 2 or 3 days later. In this market, if you find a home that you like, you need to jump on it, because everyone else is also looking at it. They're on Realtor.com, they're on Zillow. They have their MLS feeds coming through them. And there's so many other platforms that all the listings are showing up on, but they always don't say if someone else is looking at them, or there could be an offer on right now. So when you look at homes and you find one you like, don't wait around, act fast. And when I say that, just because you make the offer doesn't mean that you're stuck, because there's other things on there we're going to talk about. And one of them is going to be, once you write the offer, the biggest thing is you want to lock that offer up. You want to lock that property up, and then you can do your contingencies and you can negotiate after that. That way it kills anything else from coming in and trying to go above you with another offer. So the biggest thing is find a house you like, make the offer, lock it up, then you do your contingencies. So once you got that locked up and you go through the negotiations and you go back and forth, who knows, you might get it on the first try. If you actually write an offer and you get it for the first time, say, I gotta have this house, that's awesome. Now, you could go back and forth. You could come in lower if the property is newer on the market. Most sellers aren't going to take anything less than full price if it's new to the market. If it is new to the market, you go in and you lock it up. If it's been on the market, there might be a little room for negotiation. That's when you have to have a qualified realtor come in and help you. They're going to guide you through proper negotiations. You come in too low, the seller may ignore you, not even respond. The key is you want them to respond and either accept it or negotiate to a point that you feel that you've got a great deal. And your agent, a qualified agent, realtor, will not help you do that. So once you get that done, you got everything done, you're going to put in your earnest money. So you say you bought your home, your earnest money is this you telling that seller that you are serious about that and you're putting skin in the game. Now don't worry about it because your earnest money is going to come back to you if the deal falls apart. As long as you keep in your timelines. So it's like a contract. You've got to make sure that you keep everything going on time, just like any legal document or anything you do in life. But that's a good thing. Usually what I'm seeing in our market is about 7 days turnaround time for home inspection contingencies. If there happens to be HOA, 7 days to review the documents and everything from that, and you go forward from there. So the home inspection period. So you locked it up, now you're in your contingency time. Home inspections are a big deal. You want to get a qualified home inspector. I would highly recommend you don't just go with the first one that's available. You check out their credentials, make sure they know what they're doing. Do they have a background in construction? Do they know what they're doing? You want somebody who's going to be able to go up there in the attic, walk around, do the inspection, make sure there's no mold. Make sure you have proper ventilation, make sure you have proper insulation. You want to make also sure if you're not on the city water and sewer program, you want to make sure the well septic work. A lot of times too, there's counties that will require a well and septic inspection before you can buy it. There's also some loan packages on there as well. Because you want to make sure you're drinking water that's safe and not full of nitrates. And well as your septic, you want to make sure that you don't have sewage bubbling up. That's going to cost you anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 to put in a new well. So you want to make sure this is done properly. And sometimes, if you can't get it done in time because contractors are busy, have your agent write an addendum due to time restraints that are happening with the inspectors. Almost 9 out of 10 times, the seller's agent will give you that time and it's based off of that. So once you get that done, you're going to be good. Then you're going to review it. So usually when you get done with a home inspection, you're going to come and meet with the inspector on site. He's going to review that page. Mary, will you grab me that book on my desk? I'm going to show you real quick what a hard copy of a home inspection looks like. Use about 16 pages, and it's broke down, and it'll tell you everything on it, but you also get a digital copy as well. It's right there. It's a hardbound copy.
This one?
No, it's a big hardbound copy next to the computer. That one right there. Thank you. So it's very simple, easy to read, and they have everything where it's set up where they'll have a section on your plumbing. They'll have a section on your roofing. They'll have a section on everything you need to do. If there's a septic, there's a well, it'll all be on there. So these are something you're going to want to review it. And then when you get done with that, that's when you and your agent will decide if there's anything that you found issue with. Say the roof is 20 years old and you know that it's going to be needing a new roof. You may want to go back and try and negotiate some credit off of that price to help pay for that. Or say, same thing, hot water heater, HVAC, your furnace is not kind of issue. Go back and try and get some money off because you're going to replace that in the future. But if it's great, everything's good, you can move forward if you're happy and move to the next spot. So any other test you can think of, my biggest one is if you're on a well, get a well quality test. You want to know what you're drinking and putting in your food and all that. Septic, same thing as well. You want to make sure that septic is going to last for what you have. So after we do that one here, I think we're going to go into the title work and we're going to have Mary Strand come in. She's going to talk to you about the title work and what to expect and go from there.
Oh. Can you hear me? Okay, so we're on title search. So basically, I'm going to tell you what the title company does. So when Ryan gets a purchase agreement, that comes to me, I put an order on. And then I'll send it to the examiner. We searched back about 40 years. The examiner is based on tax ID number and names. And also, like Laura's being here, if there's a lender, we'll actually have a lender's order and an owner's order. And how that's based on is the sale price and lender's loan amount. So, and then we'll get the search done, and then once we produce a title commitment that will come to me, I look it over because I'm going to clear the title. Schedule A will have the seller's name. It will say who they're selling it to and the purchase price and loan amount. Schedule B will tell me what is on the property, which means the examiner went to the county, checked records, the county records, anything recorded, taxes, bankruptcy. Basically, that will tell me how to clear title so the buyer has a clear title and the lender is also in first name position. There's nothing out there that can cause a claim. Title insurance, I thought I would go over this because basically people always ask me, what is title insurance? And basically I'll tell them when you go buy a house, you get house insurance. If you go buy a car, you get car insurance. But it's a little different because title insurance insures prior. So basically that means that we're looking over everything, making sure that we found everything, mortgages, taxes, anything like that, where other standard insurance is going forward. So that will be the difference. And basically title insurance is that we're insuring, again, that we're protecting the homeowners and the lender that is free and clear of any claims so they don't have a financial loss in the future. So I hope that makes sense on that. Let's see what else. Escrow. Oh, I wanted to go over what is title insurance. I already did that. Why do we need title insurance? That's the other question I always get. No matter how good an examiner can be or a closer, we miss things, or the county will have something posted wrong. Taxes will say paid, and they're really not paid. There'll be misspelling of names. There'll be legal descriptions that are incorrect. Again, on priors, we see a lot of home equities that are not discharged. We want to make sure those are discharged. Forged documents, that seems to be, people are signing deeds that are not the owner or they're not allowed to sign. So the title insurance covers so many different things that, you know, we might have not caught. So that will cover you. So it's a big investment. Home is definitely a big investment, so you want to make sure that you're protected. I think that's about, did you want to say anything else? I mean, I could go over what a title company does, because obviously when Laura hands me like a lender's policy, we also will do closing protection letters, make sure they're insured. When the CD comes, we'll input it to make sure we balance. Once we get to the closing, we'll have the legal documents prepared, we'll do the deed, we'll disperse. After closing, we record the mortgage, the deed, the documents will go to the city or the township, like the property transfer affidavit, the homestead has to be filed. We do a lot of this stuff just to make sure everyone's, you know, is done correctly and legally. Was there anything else, you guys?
Nope, just finalizing your mortgage, preparing to close.
Anything else, Laura?
Yeah,
I
think
can talk on this.
Sure, yeah. So Mary's pointing out all that a title company does, which is a lot. But for first-time home buyers, please don't be. Okay. For first-time, most people know I'm probably loud enough, even if this is way over there. First-time home buyers, please don't be intimidated by all that we're saying, because this is all being done behind the scenes, and you don't have to worry about any of it. So, from your perspective, we want to educate you on all that's going on to get you those keys. But from your perspective, to bring it full circle, you know, it starts with getting pre-approved, and that is a 20-minute conversation with your loan officer. And then meeting with your realtor, that's probably going to be the biggest part of actually finding that home. Mary and I work behind the scenes getting that title search done, but after you have had a 20-minute conversation with me, that's applying for a loan. Your conversation with me, I gather your info, I'm going to run your credit, that is applying for your loan. And then when you find a home, when you're under contract, when you have somebody that's accepted your offer, you have a purchase agreement, then you're going to do some easy e-signs for the loan paperwork. And then as your loan's getting ready for underwriting, I'm preparing your loan for underwriting while you're working through the inspection with Ryan. And then I'm getting Mary the information for the loan for the title search. So she starts working on the title search while I'm getting everything ready for underwriting. Ryan's helping you with the inspection. As long as the inspection goes good and there's no deal breakers, Ryan says, okay, Laura, we're good, let's order the appraisal. So then I order the appraisal. But again, a lot of this is going on in the background. For you, the home buyer, it's having fun finding your home. It's a little bit of time filling out the loan application. The paperwork is very minimal. A lot of times I don't even need hard copies of pay stubs and W-2s. A lot of it is electronic. Excuse me. And actually, I'm talking about closings, Mary. I don't know if you've done these yet, but I'm trying to always stay up with technology, and we're starting to do hybrid closings, hybrid virtual. I actually did a full virtual closing for a purchase a few weeks ago where my buyer, he did his walkthrough. You do a walkthrough. Ryan's probably going to talk about that one last walkthrough before you close. And he said, Laura, we're about to head up north to our cottage. Can we do the closing virtual so we didn't have to go into the title company? So the closings can be totally virtual on the computer, or they can be hybrid where 90% of the papers are a quick e-sign, and then when you do go to the title company, because it is kind of fun to go to the title company and get your keys, and it's a celebration.
Yeah.
But now there's only maybe 10 pieces of paper to sign and not 60 like there used to be. So just know that all this stuff is going on, and but you don't have to worry about it. So that's why it's just really important to have the right professionals in your corner, so that you don't have to worry about it, and so that it is an enjoyable process for you.
Yeah, we just started that. It's called platform or something, so people are more to sign in at home or whatever.
It's
yeah,
awesome.
we're just getting into that.
Yeah, I know. It's like everything else is virtual. There's different rules with different states for wet signatures or wet ink. So mortgages have just been one of the last things or slower things to come along with, because of legally needing some wet signatures on some paper. So that's why it is a fairly new thing.
We just have to verify driver's license, picture of them, but definitely we want to protect everybody. So.
And the best part is once you get done, we do the walkthrough, you sign all your paperwork, lender's gonna make sure everything funds, title company's gonna make sure the sellers get their money, and I'm gonna make sure you get your keys to your brand new first home. So it is a huge collaboration of a lot of people, a lot of moving parts working, and communication is key. Very, very much key, because you want to make sure this is an enjoyable process. You don't want to be stressful, you want this to be a happy thing for you. So find yourself the right lender. That's your first step. Find out what you can afford. Find where you want to live. What areas do you like? Check it out, see what you like. Then get yourself a realtor. Interview that realtor, because that's going to be your partner in this voyage to get your first home. Once you get that done, you're going to write that offer. You're going to make sure that everything went good, is get locked up. Once it gets locked up, your realtor and yourself are going to make sure your lender gets everything going. You're going to get things started to make sure that loan closes on time, get you in. Your realtor is going to make sure that all the contingencies, your home inspections, anything else out there is met. And your title agent, she's going to make sure that that title is ran so you have a free and clear title and there's no issues. So when you come to sign, when you get done, that is your home and it's free and clear. Now, the most important thing, and I'm sure they'll all agree with me, once you get approved for a mortgage, you're going to get information and a lot of mailings. Open a credit card, buy a car. Do not do it. It'll mess up your debt ratios. I've so bad see people get approved for a mortgage and they buy a car or they open a credit card and they no longer can buy their home. So once you get your mortgage approved, don't open any work for it. Don't do anything.
Yeah.
Your focus is getting in your home. So,
And on that note, because you might think, well, what if, because I understand sometimes I have had a couple situations where people are like, I have to turn this car in, or if there's a unique situation, let me know, because it might not be the end of the world. But also, I did want to touch on, Ryan, unless you were going to say anything else, I wanted to mention the time frame of this and how quickly it can happen. So if you found a house, if you and I spoke this evening, and there's a house right now that you're interested in, and Ryan takes you through it tomorrow, and you get an accepted offer, you could be at the closing table with Mary in a few weeks, in less than 3 weeks. Most of my loans are clear to close within a couple weeks. It's standard, or I shouldn't say standard because every contract is unique in the real estate business, but typical is like 30 days on the purchase agreement for a close by date so that there's time for the inspection and then the appraisal. But if you feel the need, or if speed is any enticement to the seller, where Ryan says, you know what, the house is vacant, the seller really wants to close fast, you might be competing against some cash offers. If speed is any enticement, I can get you to that closing table in 2 to 3 weeks if we have to, and excuse me, and that can help you compete with the cash offer, because even a cash offer needs a title search, right? So if you are a well-qualified mortgage buyer, even if you have a small down payment, that's okay. Ryan and I are going to explain the strengths that you present to the listing agent, the seller's realtor. So it might be, yeah, they're a first-time home buyer, they're really excited, they've got solid employment, the money's in the bank, and okay, we understand you have a cash offer, but look at their offer because they can close probably just about as fast as the cash offer. So I say this to reiterate, don't be intimidated because you're a first-time home buyer or because you have a small down payment. Don't think you have to wait to save up 10%, or you don't have to save up 20%. PMI, private mortgage insurance, is not that much money. And if we do the math, it makes sense to buy the home and start earning equity. So don't feel intimidated. If you have less than 20% down or less than 700 credit score, you can get into a home for a couple percent down payment, and you can get into a home fast, and with the right people behind you. Also, I want to add the right people, the right realtor and lender will be available 7 days a week for you. So no banker's hours here.
That's very true. Realtors,
That's very
we work
true.
evenings and weekends, and that's our jobs.
Yeah.
So make sure if you're interviewing, that's one question, are you available evenings and weekends? Because that's when most people look at homes.
Yeah.
Anything else? I want to leave it to Laura and Mary. Anything else you want to say? Anything you need, any questions, I'm going to put their links on here at the end of this so you can contact them and myself for any future questions that you have on this. And if you're looking to buy a home, definitely contact Laura. Get going on that. If that works, I'd love to work with you. Definitely we can have an interview process, find out what you're looking for. And then of course, Mary, when title comes, is going to make sure whatever you're buying is going to be free and clear when you get it. So, and think about what Laura said. You could actually be in your home less than a month. No more rental payments. So,
I want to add one thing
Yes.
on that. Let's say, okay, we're near the end of October. So you could get into a home in November. If you close in November, you're not going to have a mortgage payment due until January 1st. If we close, we're almost to the end of October. If the seller in February did want to say close December 1st, you won't have a mortgage payment due until February 1st, okay? So keep that in mind if you're renting, if you have a lease to break or not, there's a little bit of a buffer zone there to let you catch your breath if you do have a lease to break or something like that.
awesome. So I'll let you guys wrap it up. I'm going to get over here so you guys go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to state our company, we pride ourselves on our title work only takes like 3 business days.
That is
So,
really refreshing.
yeah, so we literally, and they really watch that. So
Speed
corporate,
matters
yeah.
in this business.
Unless obviously it's a really hard one, we have to go to our pop office, which we have the most old records, than anywhere. So,
Right.
But yeah, and obviously somebody can call me and ask me any questions. They do. A lot of times they really do.
Yeah.
I'm there too, so. And I usually answer you guys' comments too.
Mary's the best.
Yeah.
And excuse me, your title company has multiple locations, so no
Yeah.
matter what town a person's closing in, you're gonna be able to accommodate them.
Exactly.
So
have a
we're
lot
gonna
of-
make it easy for you. Don't worry about where you are. We're gonna come to you. We're gonna make it easy on you. So, but also as a mortgage person, I guess one of the last things I want to say is that again, I am a wholesale mortgage broker. So there is a big difference between paying retail. A company that spends $8 million on a 30-second Super Bowl ad, is that really the company that you want to give your mortgage business to? Because guess who's paying for that? That marketing works, but the consumer pays for it. So it's really important to go with a wholesale mortgage broker who can shop and compare the best lenders, although I will say 99% of the time it is UWM. They are the best, they're the fastest, and they're in Michigan. So yeah, I'm fine. Follow me on Instagram, Mortgage
Very
Laura.
funny.
I'll make you laugh. I have no problem making make my friends laugh, but I try to give some helpful tips. But follow me on Instagram, and yeah, Ryan will post our contact info. My phone's always on.
I do want to thank you, Ryan, for hosting this.
Yeah.
Very welcome.
I think that's really
Quite the
cool.
office he does, right?
Yeah, very beautiful. But I think this is nice if somebody has questions. And like you said, it's a rainy night.
It's a rainy night. It's perfect to do this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for your evening and your time and your knowledge tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks
right.
for watching, everybody.